Yes, we think Bitcoin is the biggest idea. It serves the three revolutions. Global monetary system, they do not. New asset class, they are part of a new asset class, but Bitcoin's going to be the biggest. And new technology, it's the most secure blockchain technology out there.
What about all these others, Solana and all these other?
So Ether and Solana, so the big three are the big three. And we think they'll all be successful, all three of them. Bitcoin the most.
Hey guys, welcome to Everyday Finance. Bitcoin's path to $1.5 million is beginning right now. Cathie Wood, CEO of Ark Invest, says that Bitcoin is not just another asset. It's something completely new. The fact that it doesn't act like stocks or bonds is exactly why big money is now paying close attention. Since early 2024, when the SEC approved the spot Bitcoin ETF, interest from institutions has gone through the roof. These big players usually move slowly, but when they do, they put trillions of dollars into markets that are already tight, and Bitcoin's supply is famously limited. There isn't enough BTC for everyone because long-term holders won't sell, and there will only be about 1 million coins left to mine by 2030. This lack of supply, along with constant demand, makes for the ideal conditions for prices to rise. Ark's main point, Bitcoin will be worth less than $1.5 million by 2030. And this is not just a guess. It has to do with math, game theory, and a huge change in how people store value. This video by Cathie breaks down the structural tailwinds, institutional flows, and macro forces that make this prediction more likely than most people think. This could be the most important thing you hear this cycle if you own Bitcoin or are thinking about buying it.
Averaging into either an ETF.
What's an ETF?
ETF, exchange traded fund. So it treats a group of stocks like one stock. Mm-hmm. So ARKK is, it's 36 stocks, but you can buy them by purchasing ARKK. And ARKK are our highest conviction stocks, and they offer an exposure to all of the innovation platforms that we've talked about. Whereas ARKI here in Europe is focused primarily on artificial intelligence and robotics, because we think that convergence is going to be pretty explosive. What you don't get there, and you do get in ARKK, we also have in another very focused fund, ARKG, which is really healthcare applications of AI, and other healthcare names that we think are going to be pretty transformative in the new world as regulators really understand how important AI is going to become to discovery, research, trials, development, to diagnostic tests, and to curing disease. We have, in our public funds, we've put them, I don't think we can own them here in the UK yet, but in the US, we have them in some of our funds, both of them. Mm-hmm. They're key to the financial services revolution. So to get people to understand and feel comfortable with that, we don't call it the crypto revolution. It's the digital assets revolution, and it's simply the finternet, the financial internet. Yes, we think Bitcoin is the biggest idea. It serves the three revolutions. Global monetary system, they do not. New asset class, they are part of a new asset class, but Bitcoin's going to be the biggest. And new technology, it's the most secure blockchain technology out there.
What about all these others, Solana and all these other?
So Ether and Solana, so the big three are the big three. And we think they'll all be successful, all three of them. Bitcoin the most. We're very interested in stable coins, but that's just like cash. And, there are millions of crypto assets out there. We think most of them die. Indirectly, right now, it is through Coinbase. They have a deal with Circle. Any revenue that Circle generates, its stablecoin is USDC.
Yeah.
Any revenue, they split 50-50 in the U.S. Circle itself has announced that it is going public, and so we're looking forward to that. Depends what you've bought. If you buy a strategy like ours, which would be in the aggressive growth strategy, put it in, averaging in over time, just like with Bitcoin, as I mentioned earlier, averaging in over time.
What does averaging in mean?
Averaging in means, buy a little every month, maybe every payday. I think one of my daughters was buying Bitcoin every week, but not a Bitcoin. She couldn't do that. A Satoshi, so. And close your eyes. This is a long-term investment. If we're right, according to our analysis. Now, this is our research, our analysis, no promises. We can't do that. But according to our research, the technologies around which we have centered our research and which have focused our investments, we believe will go up more than tenfold in the next 5 to 10 years. And that's how much explosive growth we have ahead of us as these technologies converge and create incredible opportunities for investors. And, I'm hearing a lot of people, as they get into investing, of course, they have their day jobs. But once they have accrued enough, they're making choices about dialing down their day jobs and spending more time investing. You asked, what are some of the jobs of the future going to be? I think individual investors are going to be providing for themselves if they are investing on the right side of change.
Cathie Wood says that Bitcoin is more than just a digital asset. It's the basis for a whole new global financial system. Bitcoin is a sign of trust and decentralization. It has been supported by the world's largest and safest computer network since its creation in 2009 and hasn't changed since then. There is a quiet revolution going on right now as developing countries continue to deal with unstable economies and failing currencies. Stable coins that are tied to U.S. treasuries provide short-term stability, but Bitcoin is becoming the long-term solution as an increasing and more stable store of value. Cathie thinks Bitcoin is the most important digital asset ever and predicts that its value will grow 15 times in the next 5 years. Bitcoin is different from other crypto assets because it is very safe and has a clear purpose. It is positioned to be the backbone of a new financial era. Bitcoin is on track to change what money means in the 21st century as institutions increase their exposure, adoption around the world speeds up, and trust in traditional systems falls.
No promises, but this is all based on research, and you can find it in our Big Ideas. Big Ideas 2025 is on our website, ark-invest.com. And you can find a lot more of information about our funds on ark-funds.com.
And I should probably say this is not investing advice.
It is not. And I want to make sure. Do your own research.
You can lose all of your money.
Yes.
You can lose all of it if you decide to do any of these things.
But that's why we put ARK-Invest separate from the fund site, because that's just research. Learn what you're investing in, or learn why we've invested the way we have. That's what we do all day long, is we try and help. Well, first of all, we're doing the research. We are making the investments. But I think one of the most important things we do is communicate what we're doing and why we're doing it. If you look at what happened to the equity market when Trump was elected.
The stock market.
Yes, the stock market. It went crazy to the upside, as did our strategy. And why? The promise was deregulation, and that I think is underestimated. How important it is, because we're strangling in regulation. It's just, this is not our DNA. We got to get out from under this. Lower taxes, lower interest rates is what he wants, of course, and lower tariffs. What he didn't tell us was exactly how he was going to go about that process. And it has felt chaotic. And I've had to go out and explain what's going on, try to explain what's going on. And I have to tell you, it scared me silly to see what was going on, because I knew that businesses were paralyzed and that we could have a mess on our hands. And I certainly communicated through my channels. Art communicated through his channels. In fact, I think in one publication he said, "I have never been more scared in my career." And we were trying to really get into Trump's head. And I know President Trump listens to Art, but he also listens to a lot of other people, one of whom was Peter Navarro, who seemed to have a hold on Trump when it came to tariffs. And yet, when I saw Treasury Secretary Bessent really push aside Navarro, and that could only happen with Trump, I knew we were going to be okay. I knew we were going to be okay. Because throughout all of this chaos, I think what he is trying to do is not only get tariffs on the U.S. down throughout the world, but maybe more important, get non-tariff trade barriers down. Like, for example, I didn't even know the UK would not accept our beef or ethanol. Well, now you're accepting our beef and ethanol. I don't know if people in the supermarkets will buy it, but anyway, but other countries, many more non-tariff trade barriers. And so he is just trying to bust that up, make it more visible. For example, Canada, I think they charged a 250% tariff on our milk. And one of President Trump's promises was to take care of the farmers. Okay, that's why you see the rhetoric around Canada. Now, do I agree with his style? I would never do it that way. I'd never do it that way. And it was unfathomable, for me, because he is sensitive to business, and he must have known that everything was going to stop. And but he also knows that he has to sound crazy for other people to take him seriously, and people have to believe he will do crazy things in order for people to take him seriously. And he does do crazy things.
In a daring and surprising move, Trump media has raised about $2.5 billion from almost 50 institutional investors to finance what could turn out to be one of the biggest Bitcoin treasury allocations ever made by a publicly traded company. From its beginnings on social media to its complete embrace of financial services, this represents a significant shift. As the apex instrument of financial freedom, CEO Devin Nunes positioned the move as a fundamental change in company strategy. Anchorage Digital and Crypto.com, with whom the company is collaborating on a range of cryptocurrency exchange-traded funds, ETFs, that are scheduled to debut later this year, will hold its Bitcoin. There is nothing more symbolic about the timing. The announcement comes as Bitcoin is on the verge of hitting new all-time highs, and as the 2025 Bitcoin Conference, which is being held in Las Vegas and attended by important Trump allies like David Sachs and J.D. Vance, gets underway. Trump media's market capitalization still surpasses $5 billion, and Trump himself indirectly owns more than 114 million shares, despite worries about its erratic stock price and poor earnings. Now, with Trump's support in the form of an executive order creating a federal Bitcoin reserve, The action shows how closely the cryptocurrency community is aligned with Trump's political economic sphere. This is a part of a broader trend, not just a corporate treasury move. Trump aligned with individuals like David Bailey and Jack Mallers are also starting crypto-first businesses inspired by Michael Saylor's Bitcoin playbook. This indicates a larger realignment in the ways that corporate strategy, digital assets, and political capital interact. Bitcoin has evolved from a financial asset to a political statement and a tactical tool for investors in alternative financial systems. Now, the question is, are we seeing the emergence of an economic bloc centered on Bitcoin that is backed by money from the Trump administration? Please share your thoughts in the comments section.